welcome to the Prepare podcast for Thursday, August 7, 2025. I'm Daniel, and today I'm going to unpack what's moving the markets and your grocery bills. Today we're diving into wheat. Yes, the stuff that makes your bread, pasta, and morning cereal. Wheat prices are on the rise, and it's not just a blip. Let's break it down. First up, global wheat supplies are getting squeezed, and the numbers tell the story. According to the USDA's latest estimates, global wheat production for 2025 and 26 is lagging behind demand. We're looking at 29.06 billion bushels produced against 29.32 billion consumed. That's a shortfall. The global stocks-to-use ratio, it's down 32%, below the 5-year average of 34%. Tight stocks mean higher prices, and we're already seeing wheat futures creeping towards $6.50 a bushel, up from $5.52. Why is this happening? Start with the big players, Russia and Ukraine. Together, they account for nearly 30% of the global wheat exports. Ukraine's harvest is projected to hit a 13-year low of 17.9 million metric tons, down 23% year over year, thanks to dry soils and farmers switching to other crops. Russia's looking at 79.7 to 82.5 million tons, potentially flat, but with risks from frost and drought. Over in the EU, production's at a 12-year low, leaving the U.S. to pick up the slack. And speaking of the U.S., drought in the southern plains is stressing winter wheat crops, with yields hanging in the balance. Weather's only part of the story. Geopolitical chaos is making things worse. The Russia-Ukraine conflict keeps disrupting Black Sea shipping routes, critical for getting wheat to Europe and the Middle East. India's clamping down on exports to protect its own food security, and Argentina's talking about export taxes that could discourage planting. All this means less wheat on the global market, and guess who's feeling the pinch? U.S. consumers and farmers. Here's where it hits home. Higher wheat prices mean your grocery bills going up. Think 10 to 20% more for bread, pasta, and baked goods. Low-income families will feel this the most, as food takes a bigger chunk out of their budget. Farmers aren't having a picnic either. Fertilizer prices, still sky high from 2022, are eating into margins, and with energy costs climbing, some are planting soybeans instead of wheat. That could shrink U.S. supplies even more, pushing prices higher. But there's a flip side. The U.S. wheat exports are set to rise in 2025 and 26, which is good news for farmers in the places like Kansas and North Dakota. What's the catch? More exports means less wheat at home, which could drive up domestic prices further. And don't forget inflation. A strong dollar and speculative trading could add another 10 to 25% to price spikes, according to market analysis. So what should you watch? USDA's World Agricultural Supply and Demand Estimates. Those reports are gold for tracking production and stocks. Keep an eye on weather forecasts, especially for the southern plains. If drought persists, it's bad news for U.S. yields. And geopolitics. Any escalation in Ukraine or new trade moves from India or Argentina could shake things up. Now, let's step back for a moment. This isn't just about wheat. It's about food security and economic ripple effects. Higher wheat prices could fuel broader inflation, nudging the Federal Reserve to tweak interest rates, which hit everything from mortgages to car loans. and if global supplies keep tightening, we might see more countries hoarding grains, sparking trade tensions. Here's the big picture. Wheat's not just a commodity, it's a cornerstone of our food system. When it gets higher prices, it's not just your sandwich that costs more. It's a signal of deeper stresses from the climate change to global conflict. We're an inflation point, and 2026 could be a year where we feel the full weight of these shifts. So buckle up, keep an eye on those USDA reports, and maybe stock up on some wheat or pasta while it's still cheap. You might not realize the health benefits of grinding your own grain at home. Freshly ground grain preserves its full nutritional value, especially the vital minerals concentrated in the wheat germ. In addition to magnesium and iron, the wheat germ is rich in zinc, phosphorus, potassium, manganese, and selenium. These minerals are essential. Zinc boosts the immune function, phosphorus supports bone health, potassium helps regulate blood pressure, and magnesium enhances metabolism, and selenium serves as a powerful antioxidant. Research indicates that freshly ground whole wheat retains up to 90% of these nutrients, where store-bought whole wheat flour, where the wheat is ground with rollers and the germ is removed to prevent rancidity, can lose 40 to 60% of its nutrients due to its removal. Here's the catch. Much of the store-bought whole wheat flour isn't truly whole grain. It starts as white flour refined to remove the nutrient-dense germ in bran, then has some wheat bran added back in to meet the labeling standards. But that germ, where most of the nutrition lives, is missing. The wheat germ, that tiny embryo inside the grain, packs 25% of the grain's protein, 70% of its healthy fats, like vitamin E, and a hefty share of those minerals I listed. It's the powerhouse because it's designed to sprout new life, concentrating energy and nutrients. Without it, you're left with a less nutritious product that is mainly empty calories, even if it's labeled whole wheat. Grinding your own ensures that you keep the germ intact, unlocking the full health potential. So fresh grinding is the way to go. So what's the downside of chowing down on store-bought breads and pastries? Those nutrient losses tie into some real health issues. The high refined carb content can spike blood sugar, increase risk of type 2 diabetes, which over 38 million Americans are affected by, per CDC data. The lack of fiber, down to maybe 10% of what's in fresh grain, messes with the digestion, contributing to constipation and gut inflammation. Plus, those processed flours often hide added sugars and preservatives linked to obesity and heart disease. A 2023 study found that regular consumption of refined grain products raises cardiovascular risk by 15 to 20% compared to whole grain diets. Grinding your own grain allows you to take control. So what's the best way to grind your own wheat? One of the best mills for weekly use that is available right now is the Sunshine Nugget Grain Mill, available at foodstorageguys.com. At only $195, it's affordable as well. It makes fine bread-making flour, and you can power it with a drill to keep your arm from getting tired. It's a small step that could pay off big for your health and your pocketbook, especially with wheat prices climbing. So grab a few more buckets of soft white wheat or hard red wheat, a mill, and grind some fresh, nutrient-rich bread, pancakes or waffles, and more. That's the wrap for today. Get more prepared, and I will catch you on the next one.